Welcome to Temple Builders Carpentry. Temple Builders, we problem solvers. Temple Builders safety first. Okay, Temple Builders, today we're going to talk about my carpentry journey, okay? And I had several comments about people asking about my carpentry history, okay? I'm finna give it to y'all on video, right? First off, I want to start off with I have military experience, okay? That helped me along my life, okay? So I enlisted 2 years. I did 2 years in the military, got out. When I got out, I didn't really know how to do nothing but probably change a car tire, okay? And I had random jobs, jobs that were with the fast food restaurant, warehouses, okay, temp service. I worked at temp service as a garbage man. And so along the way, I hear people talking about you need to get a trade, you need a craft or something like that. So, one day it stuck in my head, okay? So I thought to myself, I said, I need to have something for myself, you know what I'm saying? Something I can call my own, because with knowledge of a trade or a craft, can't nobody take that from you, okay? And so I didn't know nobody that was doing that type of work at the time, right? So first thing clicked in my head, I need to go to school. Okay, so I looked around my area for some type of trade school or community college, okay? And for y'all people that's just getting into carpentry, maybe my path will help you along of making some decisions of what you want to do. Or you can just watch these Temple Builders videos and I'm going to get you right, okay? But anyway, what I did was I found out about a community college locally, okay? And so I had to apply for a Pell Grant, okay? Now, at the time, I was working with a temp service, and I was making, I think I made about $15,000, which wasn't that much money, $15,000, $20,000 that year. And when I applied for the Pell Grant, I was rejected, okay? I couldn't get the Pell Grant the first year. Then, boom, the second year came. Okay, I think I made less than that. Then I got accepted with the Pell Grant, all right? So now, I'm up there at the community college, right? So my first two choices or trades that I wanted to pick or that I had in mind was, the first one was brick masonry. The second one was carpentry, okay? And here's a funny little joke, okay? So I went up there to the attendant at the community college. I asked for brick masonry, and she told me that, well, she looked at her other attendant and she told me that the only place that she know that teaches brick masonry is the penitentiary, all right? So that stuck in my head. So needless to say, I asked her, what's your other options, all right? So she gave me the little packet. It had HVAC on there. It had mechanic, okay? It had plumbing, and it had building science, okay? So building science, they also taught carpentry. So I applied for building science, okay? You could have either got a 6-month certificate, or you could have got a 2-year degree, associate's degree, okay? And that's why I went for associate's degree in building science, okay? And I got the associate's degree in building science. But in between time, my teacher, one day when my teacher came into the class, right, he had a video showing, and that video was about Larry Hahn, okay? Which was a carpenter. He was showing us this guy, Larry Hahn, which has passed away now. Our rest in peace, Larry Hahn. But Larry Hahn, with him and his brother, was building they was framing a house. Okay, I don't think I never seen him. I ain't never seen him use a framing gun. All right, and so when him framing the house, it was beautiful. Okay, and then using the hammer, how he was setting the hammer in the wood. And the sound, it sounded like music. You know what I'm saying? I loved it. So when I'm going to community college for building science, I'm watching Larry Hahn videos over and over again, learning terminology and stuff like that. Also, I graduated. I graduated in about a year. When I graduated in about a year and 9 months from community college with an associate's degree. Okay. When I got out, I started studying for my contractor's test, okay, which was a collection of about 8 books. When I looked and I called the home builders, called the Home Builders Association. Talked to the lady on the phone. She told me what I had to do. Okay. She gave me a website. I looked on the website. It was a collection of about 8 books. I purchased those 8 books. I started building up my library. I also started building up my carpenter's library. All right, carpenters and contractors library. Okay, I started this library when I first started getting my books in the community college. Okay, we had to get books. We had to get carpenters books, concrete books. We learned about scheduling. Okay, I also want to say when I was at the community college, okay, because the teacher realized I was hungry for knowledge, right? So I became the shop steward. I had a job at the college. Okay, so I come there, I believe I had a key. So I can come there, I had access to all the tools, the theodolites, builder's levels, planers, joiners, drill presses. I had, access to all that around me. All right. And I was doing woodworking at the shop. Okay. One of my first projects that the teacher wanted me to do was a kiosk. He wanted me to make a kiosk. That's kind of odd, ain't it? A kiosk to put the computer and stuff in, the frame for a kiosk. Yeah, so that's how that went. Anyway, let me go back to the contractor's license, okay? I went on and bought the 8 books, okay? Added to my library, all right? So I studied for the contractor's license and test. The lady gave me a date. I went up there. The first time I failed it. I failed it by a couple of points, okay? And I think the lady felt sorry for me because she said, because you gotta pay a certain amount. I think that amount was anywhere from like $200, $300. Could have been $500. I can't remember how much I paid to take the test. But the lady said I only failed by a couple of points, right? And she gave me another date. She said, you come back next weekend, okay? So boom, I ain't have to pay. So I came back next weekend and I passed, okay? I passed the contractor test and I got my contractor's license. So I thought I was doing pretty good then. Once I got my contractor's license, I started looking for employment, right? I went to a lot of major construction companies. I went to home building construction companies, new home building construction companies, and I went to commercial building construction companies, okay? I would walk on the job site, okay? While they in the midst of building, I would ask them, are y'all hiring? Okay, do you need somebody? I give them my information about, hey, I done just graduated with an associate's degree. Okay, I got an associate's degree in this. I know about scheduling, estimating, okay, all that, whoop de whoop. But it didn't work for me. Okay, I got turned down. No, and none of them called me. None of the commercial people, none of the home building people, none of them called me. Okay. Now, what I did was I was so hungry to know more about carpentry, okay, so I started volunteering. I went to Habitat for Humanity, okay? I went to Habitat for Humanity, and then this when I first got introduced into framing. They was framing new homes, and I went out there and helped them frame those new homes, volunteer work, okay, to expand my knowledge. Okay, so, and that's why I fell in love with framing too. I wanted to be a framer. That's what avenue I wanted to go into, framing. Okay, but as you'll see, it didn't come down to that. However, once I stepped it down a little bit, I stopped looking on the commercial level. I stepped it down. I started looking for people doing carpentry locally around my area. Okay, then I think I was looking in the newspaper or it was either online. I ran into a guy that was about 5 to 7 miles away from me. Okay, I could walk there. Okay, and called him on the phone like, hey, I done graduated. I know the terminology and all this. I thought I was somewhere. I got my little degree, but really, when you get on the job, the book skills, it'll help you with the terminology. You know what I'm saying, and get familiar with the components and the methods that builders use, but you're gonna have to get hands-on. Okay, now back to the story with my remodeler. Okay, so he told me, okay, I can use it. He said, boom, he was talking on the phone. He said, okay, you went to school. Okay, come on, be here at work at this time right here, early in the morning, boom, boom. And he also said, I pay you $80 a day. I said, all right. All right, so I started working with him, and what I was able to realize is when I started really working on the job as a remodeler, what I realized is that okay, you need to get both sides of that knowledge. You need to know the carpentry or the builder's terminology, which came with the books. But you also need to get your hands-on experience, okay? Because when I got on the job, I'm asking a lot of questions, you know what I'm saying? And one of the carpenters was like, you need to stop asking all these questions. You need to look and learn, okay? Because another thing is, these contractors got money on the line, okay? Time is money. They ain't really got time to be teaching. I understand that now. But let me keep on going, okay? Now, I was working for this remodeler. I worked for him about 2 years. So after about a year working with the remodeler, I went and got a second job. I was working with Home Depot. So I wanted to expand my knowledge too even more. I'm like, why not even just work at Home Depot? I'm around all the supplies. I'm around all the tools. And so I was working with the remodeler, okay, during the day. We get off, start about 8, get off about 4 or 5. Then I go work at Home Depot from 6 to 10, okay? I was working in the electrical department, okay? Getting used with all the materials and the, you know what it is. Okay, so I was, and then I was buying my tools with the Home Depot check, and I was using my money with the remodeler for my little food and, things I gotta get on my own. Now look right here. Once I did that for about 2 years, okay, I had heard about the Carpenters Union. I heard about the Carpenters Union while I was in school, when I was in the community college, okay? And so with me wanting to expand my knowledge, because with the remodeler, with remodeling, you're doing various stuff. You ain't just doing one thing, okay? So one day we might be building decks. Next day you might do some form work. Next day you might be doing some finish work, putting up trim. I done even did roofs with this remodeler. We done did roofs. So it's various things, okay? So let's go back to the Carpenters Union, okay? So me wanting to expand my knowledge, I went and applied for the Carpenters Union, okay? Hoping that it was gonna be framing, okay? Because I love framing. With the remodeler, I was doing framing, but the most framing I did was addition. We did additions before, that's framing. Even building a deck is framing. But I wanted to do new home framing, okay? But when I went to the Carpenters Union is a 5-year, if I remember it right, it's a 5-year program, okay? So you a journeyman for 5 years up until once you get to that 5th year. After that 5th year, you take a test, you become a journeyman carpenter. Okay. So I went up there to the Carpenters Union. I applied for the Carpenters Union. Once I applied, I got a call. The foreman told me to come up there. He interviewed me. I told him my history. He was like, okay. I told him I had my contractor's license. He really said, I don't mean nothing at the time. I don't mean nothing, but he made me a 2 anyway. Okay, he made me a level 2, so 2nd year. So right when I get ready to start the Carpenters Union, boom, I was made a 2nd year apprentice. Okay, now what really threw me for a loop was, okay, I was at a Carpenters Union. We worked, okay, basically almost all week. But the carpenters were scaffold builders. And that's what really threw me for a loop right there. So we would work all during the week as scaffold builders, and you have to go to school 2 nights out of the week. All right? And those 2 nights out of the week, we'll be doing carpenter work, wood work, we'll be doing concrete forms, flooring, stuff like that. So my first job with the Carpenter Union was, we normally worked at the power plants. We worked at 3 main power plants around my area. Okay, and my first job was with my journeyman. And that journeyman right there, when I got on the job and I started working with him, he liked the way I worked. He called the office. He told them to promote me. Okay, so right there on my first job with the Carpentry Union, that job lasted, I believe, over a year. So right there in between that year, I got promoted up twice. So I got promoted to a 4. So within a year time, I had made it to a 4, and by the next year, right, there'll be 2 years. You're gonna hear 2 years come up a lot because that's usually how long I work for people, is about 2 years. So after 2 years, I had made journeyman. Okay, I took the test, boom. Now I was a journeyman in 2 years. Usually take 5. Okay, so now, I want to say hats off to the scaffold builders. Okay, you gotta be cut from a different cloth to be a scaffold builder. All right, those guys, they super strong. They fearless. If you a scaffold builder, leave a comment in the comment section. Okay. Now, scaffold building wasn't my thing. My thing is in residential. That's where my heart at. That's where my passion at. Okay. So I left the Carpenters Union. All right. Then that's when I started Temple Builders. Okay. My first job with Temple Builders was right across the street from where I was staying at. Okay. Right across the street, doing sheetrock work. Okay. Now, I want to say this to the people that's just starting out carpentry. The best way you can start out, which I believe I started from a grassroots, start out from word of mouth. What I did first, I started doing my own house. I started repairing my own house, taking down the old wood, putting up new wood. Started keeping the yard clean, started keeping the yard cut, painted the house. I even pressure wash the sidewalk. You know, when you pressure wash the sidewalk, it really gives the house curb appeal, you know. So the neighbors started seeing this. They started asking me, when you started doing this work? How you know how to do this? Blue, blue, blue. Then one of my neighbors, when I was pressure washing my sidewalk, okay, he came out and I offered him to pressure his sidewalk for free, okay? I did it for free that time. And I'm having in mind that I'm gonna do a good quality job that he gonna have to ask me to do it again. So anyway, fast forward the story. When I get ready to pressure wash it again, about a year's time, guess who out there? My neighbor. Okay, he asked me, what? How much you gonna charge me to pressure wash my sidewalk? Boom. So that's how that worked. Let me keep on going. Okay, so I'm working. When I'm doing temple builders, I'm doing the remodeling, what I've learned over the years, right? And plus I can now put up a scaffold. Oh yeah, when I first started scaffold building, I was terrified of heights, okay? But that helped me. Scaffold building helped me respect heights. I ain't gonna say I got over that fear, but I really respect the heights. And as far as like houses or something, it ain't nothing for me to get on the house, you know what I'm saying? A 1-story house, 2-story house, that's fine. Because like I said, scaffold building, you cut from a different cloth. Let me keep on going. Okay, now, while I'm doing other people's houses, I'm doing my neighbor's house, I'm doing my community house, right? Right now, this present time, right now, today, I have a job with my next door neighbor doing sheetrock work. Okay, so all my work right now is, my primary money is around my community. Okay, and the people I know and the people they know, and word of mouth. Okay, so back in the day, right, okay, when I first started Temple Builders, I realized I had a weakness in my setup, okay? That weakness was electrical, right? I get called into certain people's houses and sometimes electrical have to be moved. You know what I'm saying? I had a guy that I known for a long time. His dad is a master electrician, so this guy, he picked up what he know from his pops. And so he do electrical on the side. So I had him riding with me. So he was my electrical man. But me, being me, you know, I feel like I can only depend on myself. So I said to myself, boom, I need to get some electrical experience. So that's what popped in my mind. I knew about the unions. So I applied for the electrical union, okay? The electrical union was harder to get into, all right? Plus, the electrical union, they're gonna give you a test right before they even select you. Okay, you're gonna take a math test as well. But I kind of sharpened up my math when I was in the community college, okay? So I took the math test for electrical, and then I got accepted with the electrical, all right? So I got in the electrical union program. All right, so here go 2 years again. I stayed in there for about 2 years, okay? However, my first job in the electrical union was at a grocery distributor. All right, and the electrical union was putting in they was wiring up the whole warehouse. Okay, and my second day on the electrical job, a guy got hit with some electricity. Okay, and he was in one of those tall cabinets, those electrical cabinets. Okay, I had just passed him the drill. His apprentice was holding the step ladder. His apprentice was holding the step ladder. The journeyman was on the top of the ladder, and he was elbow deep in this cabinet, this electrical cabinet. So by the time I get to the back of the warehouse, big explosion, boom, all the lights go out. All right, and then you just hear this guy, he's screaming in agony, you know. So that was my introduction into the electrical union. You know, he got burned probably about, the thing said a third of his body got burned pretty bad. Okay. So if I would have stayed in the electrical union if they was residential, okay. Last job I had with the electrical union, I was working at a car manufacturer, okay. And electrical union, they always put buddy. You have an apprentice and you got a journeyman. And what we was doing was they'll drive the car in the bay from the factory, from the car being put all together, and you drive in the bay. The car the tires will sit on these rollers, and those rollers will spin, and it's testing the car. So right there on the side of that bay was these tall electrical cabinets, okay? And so me and the journeyman would be maintenance those cabinets. And also you can go up under, like in a pit. You can go up under the car in a pit, and they had the engines down there, and we had to take those motors. You have to take those motors out, have them wired up good like that, whatever. And like I said, if the electrical union was residential, I would have stayed there and became journeyman electrician. However, after 2 years, I went on and left and pursued temple builders, and that's what I'm doing right now. Okay, temple builders. I do landscaping, temple builders. I do everything in the house. I do have a weakness though. Weakness in my setup right now is HVAC. Now I plan on taking HVAC classes probably later on. But as far as with my customers, I do receptacles for my customers. The electrical union prepared me to do little minor tasks like that a handyman can do. Putting in receptacles, lighting, you know, replacing breakers, things like that. Okay. Oh, I do want to make known of this too before I get up off here. It came a point through all my practice, right? Through all my training and stuff that I wanted to be this carpenter. It came a point when I was working that I realized I had hit another level, okay? When I started working one day, probably a few years ago, I realized the job was going smoother, you know, and I was working effortlessly, okay? I compare it to Michael Jordan or Tom Brady, these athletes in both of their respected sports, being in a zone, okay? So I do believe that carpentry has a spirit to it for any of y'all that want to be future carpenters. Just like football has a spirit to it, you know, or whatever you may do. Carpentry has a spirit to it, right? That you have to embody that spirit, okay? And that's my carpenter's journey, okay? Now, if you got a journey that you want me to hear, and I'd love to hear it, okay? Write it down in the comments, okay? And I will definitely read it, okay? All right, if you like this, hit the like button, subscribe, become my apprentice, Temple Build.